I would pick a social media platform and start to post on one topic very well consistently. Specifically, some type of reel or TikTok, some sort of short form, and just go all in on that, niche down to build an audience to attract to your topic.
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan. I'm fired up to bring our special guest today, a good friend. I just got to hang out with him in San Diego. And this is the second time on the show with my brother, James Zheng. Hey, James, are you ready to make it happen?
Oh, 1,000% honored to be back on here and excited to hear and talk to every single person that's listening to this.
James Zheng has been a network marketing leader for the past 15 years. He first got introduced to MLM as he was a shy, broke pre-med student at UC Berkeley. While James was skeptical, he saw the potential of income and personal growth, so he decided to start the business part-time. His second recruit ever not only became his top money earner, but was the best recruit. It actually became his wife, Becky. James and Becky today lead the warrior movement and are committed to helping people develop their inner passion and body, mind, and spirit so they can impact their communities through business. They live in San Diego, California, love going to church, and traveling around the world. This is his second time being on the show. His last was on 2 years ago in MLM Nation episode 710, where he talked about how to get skeptical prospects to join. But I love this guy. I say he's a brother. He's not actually my real brother, but a brother in Christ. He leads things very godly, and he has a whole kingdom movement. Maybe we're going to have time to talk about it. But anyway, James, I've given everyone a brief intro, but take us back to how you got started as a student at UC Berkeley and by the way, for those who don't know, that's the top 10, top 20 university in America. And being a traditional Asian parents, to be a doctor, and then you joined this pyramid scheme. What the heck happened?
Yeah. My parents loved it. No, my dad basically disowned me for like 8 years when I made the decision. But when I first got introduced to network marketing, I wasn't looking for network marketing. I think mostly no one is looking for network marketing. I honestly was looking for clarity in life. What happened was I was taught, and I think most of us are brought up this way, that you go to school, you study hard, you get good grades, and then you go be a professional, right? Like that's a success path. But when I got to school, a couple things happened. Number one, I saw my fellow college grads graduating. This was back in 2008, so during the recession time. And I saw smart people not getting jobs. I saw smart people being lost. And I'm like, maybe it's wise to have like a backup plan in life just in case. So that was one thing. Number two, the reality, this is why I actually got started network marketing, was not to make money. It wasn't the product. So we have all these amazing things. Honestly, Simon, it was because as a product of the system of education, all I was good at was like studying and putting it back to a piece of paper. But I wasn't happy with myself. Like I was super shy, as you mentioned. And my biggest why when you're a 19-year-old dude, let's be honest, is I wanted to have a girlfriend one day. I wanted to be married one day. So I said, being this way would not get me there. So I wanted to run as far away from myself as possible. And I tried to find that in like a fraternity. That didn't work. It only worked when you have liquid courage, you know? And when I got introduced to network marketing, I thought it was a total pyramid. Thought I would never do it. But what inspired me was meeting people that were successful, but it was the people that they were, right? Jim Rohn says that success is attracted by the person you become. And this is what I said. I said, if I can even just be 10% of who this person was, even if this is a scam, it's worth it for my own personal development. And fortunately, 90 days later, paid well enough that I didn't need a job through college. 2.5 years later, became my full-time profession for the last 13 years. It's transformed our lives. And I don't believe it's a pyramid scheme anymore, of course.
So be honest, who was the cute girl that was in the prospecting meeting that got you there?
So literally I'm so grateful for this industry, because if not, I wouldn't learn how to prospect, which is dating, the same thing. So I ran out of my hot market. So I'm like, I got to go talk to some people. So one day I'm studying for a biology exam, and I noticed there's this girl in the class that seems studious, literally no romantic intention, just I want to recruit her. So I recruit this person, jumps on board, grows faster than I did, got to a 6-figure position. And 4 years later, we're both out of relationships, and we're like, maybe this can work. And we started dating, and it's been 8.5 years of marriage to my lovely wife, Becky. So she was my top business leader before married, and it's been interesting.
That is something I did not. I forgot about that. That you were both of you guys were in previous relationships when you met.
Yes, yes. I'm glad, because Becky would not have liked me in the beginning. I had a lot to learn. I've only had one other girlfriend prior to Becky. So she got a more refined version, but still through marriage, obviously you have to refine yourself a lot more. But I'm grateful for that.
You talk about liquid courage. I like that term, liquid courage. Just drink and then you open up. We're going to go off like the traditional questions because we just met. So we just met up in Monday. Like we were joking right before we turned on the cameras. 72 hours ago, we're sitting outside in sunny San Diego and having a coffee. It's a really cool place. What's that place called again? The
Moniker Cafe.
Moniker Cafe in the Liberty Station. Yeah, if you're ever visiting San Diego, go check that place out. It's really cool. But one thing I noticed afterwards that you talked about you're shy introvert, and I want you to talk about this, was that when I met with you, I realized that I made the cardinal sin of like keep talking about myself. And now like James just asking one question after another. And like, and I kept it, we're supposed to be interested, right? Be good listeners. And James is, I think, I was very, very impressed with your listening skills. You just asked one question, and I'm like, blah, 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 this is blah, 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 blah. And afterwards, it's like, wait a second. I talked for most of that time, which shouldn't be. I should be interested in what James is doing. So talk a little bit about that. Like, how did you learn? Because I think you're an amazing networker. If you get people to talk about, and I'm aware of that too, like, hey, Simon, don't talk. Let the other person talk, right? Find out more about it. But you just got me going.
I loved it. It's the secret to life, right? So when I think the misconception of being a good communicator is you have to be eloquent, you have to say all the right things, you have to be funny. I was none of that.
Just like the way you thought that's how you pick up girls, right? When you're single.
Right, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like I'll share a really humiliating story. So I think we all were awkward in high school days. I was super awkward. So I don't remember if this was like in high school for you, Simon, but where you hang out in lunch dictates how cool you are. Was that how it was in high school for you? Like different groups and cliques hang out at different places? Or is that different?
Because I grew up in New York City where the weather sucks. So the only place to hang out was either in the rain, the snow, in the winter, or in the cafeteria. So I hung in the cafeteria. But there were definitely cool sections in the cafeteria. Yeah, there were sections.
Gotcha. So growing up in San Diego, we had different places. So the cafeteria was reserved for the nerds. That's where I usually resided. There's then the quad where the cool people are. Then there's by the stadium where the jocks are. So every day I would hop around trying to be someone different. And I remember I was so embarrassed because all I would do was in the cool crowd, I would stand there and just smile and nod because I never had anything to say, So you get into business and you're like, man, well, I got to learn this communication thing. How do I do it? And one of my mentors, Tim Sales, said this is that the secret to really being good communicators, be interested, not interesting, right? And to dive into this further as well, and this is really the secret to being a good communicator, even when you know this, Simon, even when you're speaking, like on a podcast, you're speaking on stage or doing a presentation, I've noticed that the best presenters are not the ones just presenting information. They're the ones talking to people. And communicating by listening is, let's say you're saying something. We just got back from Australia, so we were talking in front of hundreds of leaders. And as I'm doing my speech, I'm watching how people are responding. I'm asking questions and actually getting responses. Like it feels like a conversation, not just a one-sided thing. And I believe anybody, if you want to boost up your presentation skills, your prospecting skills, or just communication skills, it's a two-way street. But it started from being interested. And what does interested mean? It means that I have no agenda except understanding you further. all of us have been through this, Simon, when someone, you're not like this, obviously, and you're a great listener as well, too. We're actually going back and forth. So guys, if you're listening to this right now, Simon's super humble. Like he was asking, I'm also used to being the one typically asking, and then Simon's asking me back. So it's great meeting two good networkers.
But you know what? You won the first half of the game because we were like for 30 minutes, 40 minutes into I'm talking. So I got to stop, put the brakes on. Let me ask some questions about James and Becky.
It's so fun.
But it took me 40 minutes until we was like, wake up, Simon, you're talking too much. Let's start asking, had James start talking.
The coffee didn't kick in yet. You know? So, no, but it's being interested is just no agenda. I'm listening, not to respond. I think that's where a lot of us go off. We've all been around the person that they ask you a question, but then when they answer, they just turn it back onto them. How was your day? It was good. How was your day? Oh, I'm glad you asked. They're literally asking for an opportunity for them to spiel their thing. And that's not listening. Listening is, and I've learned this a lot from my wife. If anyone here is married and you're a guy, you probably know this well. It's not enough to just be like, how was your day? And then you have to be engaged, and you have to keep on asking questions until they have enough to say. And what you'll always find is this, as a practical in your business, is that when you can genuinely be interested in other people with no agenda, and you ask and you engage and you interact, it's not interrogation. It's how are you? And you're actually participating in this. There comes a point, like what you just said, Simon, where the other person, typically, the normal person, typically almost feels guilty, where they're like, wait, this is all about me. Let me know about you. And they are all on board with knowing who you are. And they walk away saying they were a good communicator. Ironically, you didn't communicate much. You were just listening. That's typically how it works.
Yeah. And I think now I think back when we had dinner like 2 years ago, I was doing the one that was doing most of the talking too. You're very good at asking questions, and and you're right. People are dying to share.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you asked me to dinner, I still remember the story I shared with a quote unquote the secret advantage I had in the company was that I was dying to share that with someone, a leader that understood that, because it was something I couldn't share with everyone. And then when we met on Monday, I wanted to share the new stuff I'm working on. Right.
Yeah. And I wanted to listen. It's like the secret to like it's once I learned this, Simon, I'm like, wow, life is so great because you don't have to know everything. Just find people that know what you want to know and just ask. And typically, people are willing to share these things because most people don't ask.
I think it's dropping that agenda.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I want to talk to James because I want to sell him something. Then you're like nervous. You can't be like that interested.
Yeah.
But when you are just focused on the other person, it becomes a lot easier. Even these interviews. I remember if you go back to the first episodes I did the first year, like 9 years ago, I was rigid because I had a format. And then it got really kind of boring, right? Like I've been doing it for 9 years. So now it's just like, let me just talk to what's going on, share about what's in your life. I think at the end of the day, in terms of creating content, people like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, content creation, you hit it right on the point. It's like we live in such a filtered world that now people are wanting more authentic, raw, real conversations. And that makes you stand out on social media. It's just be you, be an honest conversation like this. People love this type of conversation. Actually, I was listening to a podcast the other day. I think it was by Roy Vaden, actually. We were talking about Roy. He's a branding expert. And I think he was saying that now there's a trend where, there's a lot of like short form content and reels and stuff like that, which is good. But there's a trend now where people are like almost like sick of that. And they'd actually rather just have uncut, unfiltered, unedited conversation. They want to hear two people going back and forth being real. They want to hear the ums and the likes and they want to see the little things because it just feels real. So that's what I've been trying to do as well too. So I'll give you an example for anyone that's listening and thinking, how do I get more engagement on things? Try this. Might be something to consider. I just did a live yesterday and I have a topic that I'm fascinated by. So I'm in network marketing. 80 to 90% of our partners are women. That's just how it is, right?
Must be a good looks.
Yeah, exactly. So
too bad that didn't work for you when you were single back.
I know. Any
in high school
guy should do network marketing. Like seriously, it's just this is where amazing women that work on themselves are, right? So I started this topic. I did a live on it, and I'm like, as a man, I want to understand in women. Can you tell me what we need to know? And we're just having a banter and a live, right? I'm just doing live, but people are dropping in the comments. Ended up being super engaging, super fun. And it gathers people in because it's real. And then some of these could be actual prospects, actually. They could be customers, they could be partners as well, too. But having some times where you have just authentic conversation, and then that actually can translate into business might be something to consider.
Yeah, you know what? Just to give another props credit to network marketing, I definitely would not have met my wife if it wasn't for network marketing.
Wow.
My mentor told me that you don't GET
Yeah.
unless you ASK. Right?
Yes.
You don't get unless you ask. And I was just nervous as heck.
Yes.
And it was like 6 degrees of separation. I wouldn't even met her if it wasn't for network marketing. So for
Wow.
those single people out there,
Come
hey,
on.
sign up for network marketing.
This is a place of choice. Good place. Absolutely.
And what was your turning point in the business? That where things really start taking off for you, like a big major aha moment.
There's a couple turning points. I'm trying to think. Probably the biggest turning point. So we had a couple sections, right? The first 90 days, you figure out, okay, I can actually do this. There's skills to it, right? So you pick up the basics, and then you can start making a little bit of money. Then there's the time when another 90-day spurt. I've noticed 90 days typically is you need a spurt of action and focus to like finish a project. So 90 days, I've noticed that's been big. Another 90 days, I made it up to not need a job anymore. But probably the biggest 90 days, which was longer than that actually, was when our first business, it took us 6 years to build a 6-figure income in our business. And we thought everything was amazing. Got the cars, the house, the team, the accolades, everything. And through a combination of fortunate events that were not in our control, our income was cut in half that year. We lost 80%, 90% of our leaders that we were working with. Our bills are super high. So we went from a multiple 6-figure business to multiple 6 figures of consumer debt. Lost the house, lost the cars, moved in with my mother-in-law's converted office. And as a man, just felt like an absolute failure. And I literally gave up. I told Becky in her eyes, I'd give up. I'm positive, right? Like we're trained to be very high in attitude. And the turning point happened when I realized that and really this was a spiritual answer, because we're all driven by different things. But what do you do when you lose everything? Who are you when you lose everything physically and materially? And I found that even though I knew what to do to build a business, I just couldn't get myself to do it. Like I just wasn't motivated. I was literally depressed, Simon. It was like really bad. And I realized the root of that was because my value was in the wrong thing. And I realized, even though at that time I got brought to faith, I said that I was a Christian, I understood God loved me, all of that. But there's a difference of head knowledge versus heart knowledge. And it was during that time that I believe God used to drop the knowledge from the head to the heart to really understand the gospel. And because what I realized was my driving force, my value system was my accolades, my achievements, like my team. And when I lost all of that and got stripped to literally nothing and negative, it was like God was asking me, so who am I to you really? Am I just this genie and a vending machine, or am I enough? And I remember I watched a sermon. It was so powerful because I think all of us want to do good things for the world, especially if you're in network marketing. You want to serve, you want to help, like you get joy from that, right? But the question was, what was my motivation for doing good work? And imagine there's a pitcher of water. Pastor was preaching this sermon. And imagine there's a bunch of like colored ping pong balls in this pitcher of water. And the ping pong balls, they resemble good works. They said most people, where I was at, for example, what they try to do is they take a ping pong ball one at a time, and they're doing good work. Like they're picking it up, moving it from the pitcher outside. But what happens is when you flip your value system and you understand that God accepts you exactly who you are, even before you were born. He predestined you. He designed you in the mother's womb. He loved you before even the world knew you. When that hit my heart, and I was just filled with gratitude. It's not what you do or what you didn't do. It's just who you are. He designed you to love you. When that hit me, what happens is going to that pitcher with ping pong balls is as if you pour water into it. And what happens to the ping pong balls? Imagine that scenario, Simon. If you pour water into this pitcher, what happened to the ping pong balls?
They rise up.
Yep. They come out as an overflow. And it changed me and it wrecked me and it rocked me to understand that with or without anything physically, I'm already enough, right? Self-help circles say, I am enough, I am worthy, I'm deserving. The issue of that is, deep down, that's not true. So you can affirm yourself all day, but that's hard to just kind of like lie to yourself, to be honest. But when I realized that God, who cannot lie, loved me as he loves you and every single person, and the outflow of gratitude, I say gratitude is God's frequency. When you're grateful, even when I'm multiple six figures in debt, when you're grateful, even when I lost my business and my hope, when I'm grateful, even when I lost everything, because he is enough. The irony was this: I wanted to do good work now out of gratitude. I wanted to use the giftings and talents he placed into me. And that forever now, since then, we went from multiple six figures in debt to debt free. We just bought our dream home. What took us 6 years to do the first time took us a fraction of a time the second time. And even now, we're making more money now than we've ever had in network marketing with way less bills. But even if I lost everything right now, Simon, I'm still a happy camper. There's no stopping. I'm just happy. I'm just grateful.
Yeah.
That was a turning point.
I think a lot of people, they focus on their problems more. It's like what you give your attention to, right? You give your attention to your problems, then the business gets very discouraging.
Yeah.
But if you focus on your gratitude, what you have, that actually inspires. That's something I try to do a lot. Like just focus on my blessings.
Exactly. It's huge, right? What you feed is very important.
You've grown a lot since the last time we had you on the show, which is 2 years ago. Almost 2 years to the date, I think.
That's crazy.
In what ways have you grown as a leader? Or as a leader,
I would say,
as a husband, spiritual leader?
Yeah. So I would say the first part of my career in life, when I got introduced to network marketing, I became a self-development fiend. Like I'm a researcher. I'm the one that listens to podcasts all the time. I binged MLM Nation. Whatever I can get my ears and hands on, I would do. I'd be reading the books. I work out to personal development, and I loved it so much. So self-development, it brought me a lot of the way. But when a lot of these things started to happen, and even the last couple of years, we've had financial disasters again. We lost our down payment in an investment gone bad. Like our company went bankrupt. Fortunately, things were okay after that. But I decided to try God's help instead of just self-help. And I made a decision. I said, I think the best self-help book, whether you're a person of faith or not, is the Bible. Like that's literally Proverbs is from the wealthiest guy that's ever lived and ever will live, King Solomon. And I decided to take the Bible as my number one resource. And God is my resource. And I tested him at his word. And I would pull up scriptures like Joshua 1:8, which I call Joshua it's God's success formula. And it says, do not let the book of the law depart from your mouth, but meditate on it day and night so that you may do according to everything that is written in it. And here's the promise. And you will make your way successful. You will make your way prosperous. God wants you to succeed and prosper, by the way. It's in his word. So I'm like, all right, I was trying these things, right? So I took that at its word. And I just tell you this, Simon, like the things that we do, it's not like we work harder. There's joy. There's blessing. It says in the word that the blessing of the Lord makes rich and he adds no sorrow to it. Meaning there's no like it's just fun and things are just moving. And I don't know, even if God's not real, the Bible's working. It's like that's probably the biggest thing I've done. I've just been every day meditating on scripture, always listening to sermons, actually reading the Bible and doing what it says. And I'm like, man, just miracles have happened.
Hey, you know what? I got to thank you. You just gave me an idea of something to do. So one of the things I do with routine is like I plan my day the night before. And so I'll share two things I've been doing. I've been doing this for a while, but instead of just saying my to-do list, my top 3 priorities, I visualize them as my 3 wins. So before I go to bed, I have my 3 wins for the next day done already. And I'll write them down. And then it's also the first thing I look at when I wake up in the morning. So that's one thing I'm gonna tie this all in. And then there's other thing, I've been reading Proverbs, in one chapter of Proverbs a day for probably the last 10 years. And, and I read Ecclesiastes. So once it's done, then I go back to, so I'll go through the 33 books of Proverbs, then go back to Proverbs 1 again. I repeat. I've been doing that for 10 years, right? That's my routine. But lately, what I've been doing, instead of reading the whole chapter of Proverbs, because I feel like I read, and then, okay, tomorrow, next day, read. I read only one verse, and I think about it because of what you shared. But you just gave me the idea. Instead of also writing 3 wins down, I'm going to read that verse before I go to bed, think about that, and the 3 wins. And when I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing I read is that verse.
Oh my!
Because you said it's not just from the mouth, right? It's from the heart. Yes. What you meditate on. So thank you. I'm going to do this new routine.
Absolutely. It's huge. And you know what I've noticed? And if you are a person of faith listening to this, I believe that the kingdom entrepreneur has an X factor. And this is in no offense to any other type of belief system, but this is just, if you believe the Bible for what it says, then this is what it says, is that the world, and we depend, if you don't have God, we depend on self-help. But if we have God in our lives, to accept Jesus as Lord and Savior, then the Holy Spirit dwells in you. And the Holy Spirit literally is God himself. So you can have access to the one that created the entire universe. You have God thoughts. You also have the empowerment by the Holy Spirit to do the things that we can't do by our own self. We all know we're our own worst enemy, right? There's things I know I'm supposed to do, but I don't do. And it's just whatever, right? But when we live in dependency with him and we co-partner with him in our life and in our business, like he has the best business plans and he gives the empowerment to make action on these things. So it's not all about you. It's just, he just works through you and you're like, wow, my gosh, these are miracles. What God's literally, everything God does, God winks, he's a miracle. Like he is just a living miracle, right? So it's just been tremendous, Simon. And I'm just continuing to live and walk that out until it's proven otherwise. It's working pretty good so far.
Yeah. And, I'm a Christian, right? Jesus is very important to me. But from a non-Christian perspective, you can say from James that we always need a confidence, as much confidence as we need, because this business, in any business will beat you up. So basically, if this is giving them James confidence, then it works. Because a lot of times we give ourselves reasons why it won't work. Right. And James is basically saying, I'm destined for work because God wants me to make it happen. And he believes in that. And that's what he keeps. That's why he goes through the dark moments where he's in multiple 6 figures in debt and he keeps going because he has the confidence he's destined. Shifting topics a little bit, right? I think there's 2 things I want to talk about because related to your journey is number one, that you basically built the old school way, because I know your leaders back there, like fancy cars, home meetings, and now you go all online. Because when we talked about you basically, so what are you doing online that's working right now? And obviously we don't need to talk about why the old way, because no one who wants to drive around and do meetings, right? Right. So how did you transition to that, and how did you make it happen? Because some people go, because a lot of people ask me, my uplines are all the traditional way. We still home parties. We struggle to do online. So what did you do that worked?
When we lost everything and then we finally recommitted and we said, we're going to do this again. And it starts with, so anyone listening, tactically, it's not even the tactics first, but it starts with your vision and actually deciding what you want, right? And we pen down our vision statement of what we want our life and our business to be like. So for us, we wanted it on, not everyone needs to, by the way. Like some people love old school still because they love belly to belly. I have leaders right now. They just love belly. Great. For me though, I didn't want that. We wanted freedom. We wanted flexibility. We wanted actual international business. You can't do that belly to belly. You can. Simon, you've done that in your past. But I didn't necessarily want to travel because I had to. I want to travel because I wanted to, right? So we pen that down. And then the question is, well, what kind of a business do you need to develop to achieve those goals? So if you have those wants of freedom and flexibility like I do, then the next question is, okay, there's the tactics. How do we need to do that? So the reality is it was years of hitting my head on the wall, years of finding mentors, masterminds, and all these different things, trying things, not trying things. And what I realized is there's a couple of simple things that are really working now that have been effective. Okay. Number one is this. If you do want an online business, you have to be online. So showing up consistently on social media, which is free marketing and advertising. Simon, when I started social media, I'm sure you were like this too. I made all the mistakes in the book. I didn't know what to post. I didn't know how to post. I didn't know how to make a caption. I was confused. I'm like, what the heck is a hashtag? I still don't really understand hashtags. I just know you put them. But I just started to put stuff out there. And when you look at social media as a tool, it's like back in the day, I have to call people, right? Now, let's say I do 100 phone calls in a day. That's great. But if you make a post, with one post, you can reach 100 people just like that. So it just speeds up the process. So number one, it's understanding to show up on social media so people can actually just get to know you. People buy from people they like, know, and trust, but they can't buy from you if they don't know you. So at least show up on as many places as you can: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. Pick your place. So that's number one.
I want to add something. You just said a great point. So sometimes people say, well, James gets thousands of views. I only get 5 views, 10 views. Right? But hey, that's still 5 or 10 more people than you have had. And we're not talking about promoting your business. Just saying, hey, I'm on this podcast listening to James Zheng, letting people know you're committed, you're into personal development, right? If you were to go and message people, email people, it may be like, hey, I'm listening to personal development. That may be awkward and weird, right? But I mean, especially if they're not close to you, right? But if you do a post, even if 10 people say, hey, I'm listening to this podcast of James Zheng, people are like, what are you doing? That's 10 more people you have reached.
Exactly. It's huge. Yeah. We compare too much, right? But that's an amazing perspective that you pose there, Simon. So you have to show up. But then also, I think a lot of time people think I can just post and pray, like post, and I hope people just like sign up or something like that. The reality is, to be effective in any social media channel, unless you invest in ad spend, which I don't recommend as a primary, because I like organic ways first. But any social media guru will tell you this, that the magic is in the DMs. So it's the messenger, it's the conversation, right? Network marketing hasn't changed. It's a people building business. It's a relationship building business. The only difference is you're changing it from in person to online. So move the conversation into the DM. So I post something. Let's say it's my dog. All right. And it could be something completely related to the business. And people are liking it, commenting, oh, cute dog. And I notice in the list of people, I'm like, oh, here's somebody that I'm not familiar with. Let me reach out to them. I'm not pitching them. I'm building a conversation. I'll give you a story. So we just onboarded some incredible leaders. They had done $50 million of revenue in another network marketing business. Unfortunately, as sometimes happens in network marketing, corporate owners, not the best people, they end up shutting down, all types of negative things. They swore off the industry. They said, we're never going to do this again. So I'm just doing my normal social. I'm just showing up everywhere that I can. And I look through my stories on Instagram. So the stories are the things that are on the top of your feed. If you're not familiar, they disappear after 24 hours. And the cool thing about a story is on your feed, people have to like it for you to see them. On a story, you can see who's lurking. You can see who's watching. So I'm looking through these stories and I see somebody's name that I've never seen before. So I start to do a little bit of stalking, right? Get to know your prospect a little bit. I look at their page and I see we have some mutual friends. And typically you can tell when someone else is in network marketing. There's a certain way that we are. So I'm like, I think she's probably an MLM. And I reach out in a DM. Here's my opening line. It was not, hey, I saw you on my stories. I'm doing this amazing opportunity. I got this amazing product. Do you want to buy? My opening line was very simply, hey, sis, I saw my stories. Are you an MLM too? Simple. This person I didn't know at that time was already researching our company for months. This person was actually already leaning in to wanting to do MLM again. This person was actually already reaching out to the company owner, but they never got back to her. And she started stalking people. But because I opened with a very friendly conversation, she got back to me with this huge message. She sent it to the company owner, but they didn't respond. So she sent the same one to me. And long story short, 90 days later, They have built the fastest growing business in, gosh, maybe North America. They've gone through 11 promotions in just like 6 weeks or something. They've already crossed six-figure like run rate in their first month, and they're duplicating like crazy. And I bring that up because show up on social, have conversations, and just start from there. That's a couple things that can help.
Yeah, I love that story, and I just want to emphasize to the leaders like, wow, is it that simple? Like, I just put on stories and get a leader that can go through 11 promotions. You know what? No, it's not. You know, James may have done stories for 5 years and got nothing,
Exactly.
right? But the one time you do get to it, then James is lucky. It's like going back to the classic saying, luck is when hard work meets opportunity. James has been working hard, sowing seeds, sowing seeds. He has had a lot of people join, a lot of people not leaders. But at one time, and it was, again, the person didn't get back to them. And I think I want to emphasize to those listeners and viewers is like, you talk to any leader like James, this stuff happens all the time.
Mhm.
But now it's just when you least expecting it. Right? I'm sure when you reached out to that person, you didn't say, "Oh, this is leader's going to blow up my business." Because James is more than that. I always say, wouldn't you agree? 95% of the time it leads to nothing.
Oh, 99%.
99%. But at one time it does lead to something because you follow a message to the person.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I think that's the difference between success and not success. Most people are like, oh, this never works. But at one time it does work. Oh, James got lucky.
It's what you talk about all the time, Simon, consistency. Like, it's not a sexy word necessarily, but it's so important because I think many times we come into the mindset, especially in a business like this, is I'll do this. Oh, it's almost like we come in subconsciously saying, I'll do this and prove that it doesn't work for me. Or you put an expiration date on it. I'll do this and maybe for a month or two. And then let's see how it goes. No, but if you know your dream and you know that this vehicle can fuel that dream for you, then it's not a matter of like, I'll try and see. It's a matter of, I will do it until. So you just keep on doing the do until it happens. And it's not a matter of luck in our business. Using the luck analogy, it is hard work. Labor upon correct knowledge and proper preparation meets opportunity. That is luck. So luck does happen through the do. This person, same person, apparently had found me because I was posting on TikTok, and then she wandered over to my stories. What people don't know is before I had one TikTok that even converted a sale, I had 300 TikToks. I posted like 3 a day, and none of them led to anything. But something that Myron Golden, I was sharing Myron with you the other day. He's you got some great one-liners. This is something he says: work always works. It either works for you or it works on you. And when I realized that that's just the process of mastery, right? Simon, you're an amazing podcaster now because you've done it for 10 plus years. So you just got to keep on doing it, refine the process. This is all on your consistency pill. Until you get so good, as my mentor Tim says, you get so good you can't do it wrong. And I think that's what's missing nowadays. Simon, the pro and con of online business is it seems like it's fast, and it can be. It definitely can be. But the reality is, if you want a long-term sustainable business, you have to learn these actual skill sets. You have to learn how to chisel in your character. I believe network marketing is God's greatest self-development tool. You have to learn these things. Otherwise, you won't sustain the success, even if you get it.
And getting back to initially, we'll talk about destiny and God, right?
Yeah.
Your mindset, 95% of success is most people, they don't have that. So I'm going to try this out. And you're giving reasons why it won't work, as opposed to you, hey, I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
I'm going to work because I'm destined for it. Now, it may not be it may take me 300 TikToks, but it's going to work.
Yeah.
You have that belief. That belief keeps you going. You mentioned consistency more than a few times. You're obviously very consistent. How do you stay consistent? What type of routines do you have to help you stay consistent?
I think the first thing that I've realized that if I'm not consistent with this one thing, I won't be consistent with the rest. And I learned this when I was in my depressed years. I realized that most of us burn out because we try to do our business and do our work, but we haven't filled our own cup. So every day, I'm really big on whether it's a morning ritual, a morning routine, a quiet time, and I have to fill in my own cup. Like, I have to do something for my body every day. whether it's a workout. I did squats today. That was fun. Or just, doing some walk or whatever. So I have to get in movement. I have to feel like I won something. That also includes nutrition, right? So every day I drink 20 ounces of water right when I wake up. I fuel myself, just things to make sure that your body is filled up. Number 2, in the morning, this is before my phone's on airplane mode. I don't do any messages, any calls, anything, like me time. I do something for my mind. I'm always listening to a podcast. I'm always listening. Recently, I just listen to sermons all the time. So something to feed the mind so that you're stimulating this. And then something for the spirit, whatever that looks like for you. It could be meditation, could be gratitude. For me, it's prayer, worship, all of that. And I do that in the morning before I do anything else. When I win the morning, then you can seize the day. So then the next thing I do is I always do the most, like what you mentioned, the most important income producing activity right away. I'll be honest, I realized recently I've been slacking off of it. This is my tip for any network marketer. If you actually want to grow your business, I challenge you this. I bet you don't do this. But usually, this is what happened to me, is I get up, I check my Facebook notifications, I'd respond. I check my team messages, I'd respond. I feel like I'm being very productive. But the most important thing that we as leaders in any business, but especially network marketing, do is always be in prospecting mode. Like, it's so big. So I dedicate right after I'm done with my morning rituals, before I talk to the team or anything, I need to spend some time doing my personal pipeline, my personal prospecting. So today I spent an hour and I'm just inviting new people. I'm following up with prospects. I'm engaging on other people I want to connect with. I'm doing that whole thing. And then I go serve the team. When I can do my morning ritual for me, and then I do my personal pipeline for whatever amount of time, could be 15 minutes. Everything else in the business becomes way easier. So that's what I've done.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing. Hey, brother, you're amazing. I could talk to you forever. But I just realized that we got to wrap up soon. It's been way longer than normal. And you can tell which podcasts are ones I really enjoy talking to by how long they are. So this one's a long one. But let's go to some quick questions to pick your brain.
Yep.
First one is, what is one of your favorite success quotes that motivates you?
Success quote or book?
Quote.
Success is attracted by the person you become. Jim Rohn.
What's one habit that's helped you become successful?
Prayer.
What's the best advice you ever received?
That you are not a product of your past.
What's your favorite prospecting tool that you use? Say you have a qualified prospect. What would you do? Send a video, meet them one-on-one? What do you like?
We built basically a presentation video. So a presentation video.
What's your favorite app on your phone that's not a social media app?
Notes, or OneNote specifically.
What are 2 or 3 books you recommend to MLM Nation?
Besides the Bible, and besides Simon's Consistency Pill, must reads first. What just comes to mind are the greats, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm rereading through Rich Dad Poor Dad now, and I'm like, wow, I'm not doing a lot of this still. So probably go back to the originals.
And here's the last question, the $1 million question. You ready?
I'm ready.
So imagine you had to start all over again and you knew no one. So you didn't know Becky, you didn't know your parents, you were like an alien that had a contact list of 0. But you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you do or the first place you go to build a network marketing business from scratch?
I would pick a social media platform and start to post on one topic very well consistently. I would pick specifically some type of reel or TikTok, some sort of short form type of place, and just go all in on that, niche down to build an audience to attract to your topic.
And that topic would be, it would be
It could be anything, to be honest, because once you grow something that you love talking about, it doesn't even have to be business related. Well, it's nice to be, but let's say you love dogs, then just build it up a following on dogs or something. Because once you build up a following, I have a friend of ours that just Tim's wife, Laura. She built an Instagram account from scratch, just tried it, and she's doing simple reels strategies like tutorials. In 30 days, I think in 30 days, she got 100,000 followers on Instagram. It's something that she loves to do. It's something people love to look at. And out of the 100,000 followers, they're now finding ways to organize them into places to prospect for their business as well too. So that's probably the easiest free way to drive and get new traffic. And then once you have 100,000 eyeballs, even 1,000, you can do a lot with 1,000 people.
As we wrap up, any last words of advice? And then what's the best way our listeners can connect with you?
You can connect with me. I'm on the same on all socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at James C. Zheng, that's Zheng. And the thing I would say is, I believe, whether you're spiritual or not, I believe that if Jesus came back right now, he would pick network marketing as a business model. I believe network marketing has had many ups and downs. I know, especially recently, post-COVID, there's been a lot of shifts and changes in our industry, companies shutting down, unfortunately, leaders getting hit hard, technology's changing. But at the end of the day, what we do is still the most beautiful form of business and service in the world, which is transforming the lives of other people by transforming yourself. And that's never going to get old. So no matter if AI takes over the world, we're still always going to need real people just like you, wanting to help real people just like the world. So keep on doing what you're doing, and we need more people to rise up to win.
Hey, MLM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today, you may hang out with James Zheng. So keep them up the momentum and go to MLMNation.com. Click on the podcast tab, and the show notes will be there. Also, links to James' social media profiles. Definitely follow him. He's got great content. He can give you a model of consistency of what he's doing. Definitely go follow him and reach out to him. Hey, in order to be successful in life, in business, and in network marketing, you must help others. So, James, thanks again for sharing your valuable time with MLM Nation. We're grateful to you, and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much again, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Hey, MLM Nation, what's up? What's up? A little recap, a great show from James Zheng. Hey, definitely go check out his previous episode as well. But it was awesome. You know, it was a little heavy on God, and because, hey, that's who he is, right? He's being real, vulnerable. We like it or not. I think that's one of the key parts of be creating content. You got to be who you are. Be proud. The more you are, the bolder. You may repel people, but you also attract the people that you really want. That's a big part of James's success is he attracts people who are proud of the faith. And, you know, success is 95% is mental. And for him, this is belief that God has blessed him. God has given so many blessings for him to deliver, make an impact on others. And that's what keeps James going. And we all need motivation. We all need some mindset. And that's what works for James, his strong belief and faith. Another thing that's interesting, just the aha moment, he talked about, he believed like if Jesus came back, he'd do network marketing. By the way, Christianity is network marketing, right? I always ask people this, what's the most successful network marketing company in the world? You can take it from a non-spiritual perspective. Non-spiritual, just mean you're not a believer. It's network marketing. Jesus had 12 people and he shared with 11. One turned them in, but 11 became 100 and just spread, right? Sharing people the gospel of Jesus Christ. And you think about it as a leader, and you can message me directly on social media or email me, and I can talk about all the stuff that the church does. It's basically the exact same thing you need to do to create duplication and creating that culture in your business. But yeah, message me. I can share a little bit more about that. You know, he talks about consistency. I love win the day. He does something for himself. Win the day. If you win the day, you win the rest of the day, right? Because the biggest enemy is ourselves. So he's got to conquer himself, fill his cup, and that allows him to be consistent in other areas and working on the income-producing activities. He also talked about social media, right? It's like getting that leader 300 TikToks before someone reached out to him. And that's what it takes to be successful. Most people will quit. That's why consistency is the number one skill. You got to stay consistent every single day because that is how you get lucky. Okay, James is struggling. You got by showing up. And even if you show up, 5 people comment, 5 people watched it, 5 people reach, that's 5 more people than if you did not do anything. And I'm not talking about the self. I'm just sharing who you are. And like James talked about in the $1 million question is that it could be just, if you have to start over again, post something you're passionate about, right? About like, you like dogs, post about dogs and be an expert about dogs because as long as you're passionate about it, you can create consistent content. Eventually, people like you. And when they know you, like you, trust you, they'll listen to what you have to offer. Anyway, that's what I have. I'm going to keep it short. A long episode. Great show. Definitely go to MLMNation.com. Go over to the podcast tab. Follow James. Catch us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on the YouTube channel as well. And leave us a review on iTunes. Again, these episodes take a lot of my time, a lot of James' time that we can never get back. So, hey, but we're here to serve you. But please leave. The only thing we ask is to give us a review and subscribe to us on YouTube and follow James. Hey, that's what I have. Again, I'm loud and proud to be part of this amazing professional, great leaders. Now it's over to you. Take action on what you learned and go out there and have a positive impact on someone's life. God bless you all.